Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th Canto, Chapter 80, Text number 3. Sa Bhag Yaya Tasya guṇān gṛṇīte karau cha tat-karma-karau manaś cha smared vasantam sthira-jaṅgameṣu śṛṇoti tat-puṇya-kathāḥ sa karṇaḥ sa yayā tasya guṇān gṛṇīte karau cha tat-karma-karau manaś smared vasantam sthira-jaṅgameṣu śṛṇoti tat-puṇya-kathāḥ sa karṇaḥ sa yayā tasya guṇān gṛṇīte karau cha tat-karma-karau manaś smared vasantam sthira-jaṅgameṣu śṛṇoti tat-puṇya-kathāḥ sa karṇaḥ karau cha tat-karma-karau manaś smared vasantam sthira-jaṅgameṣu śṛṇoti tat-puṇya-kathāḥ sa karṇaḥ gṛṇīte karau cha tat-karma-karau manaś smared vasantam sthira-jaṅgameṣu śṛṇoti tat-puṇya-kathāḥ sa karṇaḥ sa yayā tasya guṇān gṛṇīte karau cha tat-karma-karau manaś smared vasantam sthira-jaṅgameṣu śṛṇoti tat-puṇya-kathāḥ sa karṇaḥ. Ladies, tasya guṇān gṛṇīte Sa, that is. Vak, power of speech. Yayā, by which. Tasya, his. Guṇān, qualities. gṛṇīte, one describes. Karau, pair of hands. Cha, and. Tat, his. Karma, work. Karau, doing. Manaḥ, mind. Cha, and. Smaret, remembers. Vasantam, dwelling. sthira, within the unmoving, jaṅgameṣu, and moving, śṛṇoti, hears, tat, his, puṇya, sanctifying, kathāḥ, topics, saha, that is, karṇaḥ, an ear. Actual speech is that which describes the qualities of the Lord. Real hands are those that work for Him. A true mind is that which always remembers Him, dwelling within everything, moving and non-moving. And actual ears are those that listen to sanctifying topics about Him. Purport. While continuing from the previous verse to glorify the sense of hearing dedicated to the Lord, King Parikshit mentions the other senses also, so that we gain a complete picture of Krishna consciousness. Here he declares that without any connection to Krishna, the Supreme Lord, all the organs of the body become useless. A similar statement is made by Shonak Rishi in the second canto, third chapter, verses 20 to 24. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti mentions that the senses should work together in Krishna consciousness. In other words, whatever the eyes or the ears experience, the mind should simply remember Krishna, who is within all things. Om Jnana-timirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mahyam Tadhati Shapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jata Padakamalang Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Shagrajatam Shahagana Raganatan Vitam Stam Sajivam Shadvaitam Shavadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Shahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kamshana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindho Bhyaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Savag yayā tasya guṇān gṛṇīte karo ca tat-karma-karau manaś smared vasantam sthira-jaṅgameṣu śṛṇoti tat-puṇya-kathāḥ karṇaḥ. Parikshit Maharaj continues to express his eagerness to hear Krishna Katha, Shrinvatam swakata Krishna, punya shravana kirtana, hridyantaksto hyabadrani vidhunoti suhritsatam. So this puṇya-kathāḥ, Krishna-kathāḥ, is the actual subject matter for hearing and the actual subject matter for speaking. The king says, sa yayā tasya guṇān gṛṇīte. The actual speech is the speech that describes the transcendental qualities of the Lord. Otherwise it's not speaking, it's croaking. In the third canto, second canto, that statement has been made. Bile bato rukrama vikraman ye nashinvata karnapute narasya jivasati durdarike vasuta nachopagaya churugaya gata. Jivasati dardarike vasuta. The tongue which is vibrating something other than the glories of the Lord is like the tongue of the frog, which is simply vibrating, useless croaking, and inviting other creatures to come eat him. And the ear is like a snake hole. If the ear is not hearing Krishna-kathāḥ, then it's hearing all rubbish. It's not neutral. It's not that what we're hearing, which is disconnected from Krishna, is simply not Krishna-kathāḥ, as if neutral. Rather, it's toxic. Toxic waste. The expression is, bad money drives away good money. So, non-Krishna-kathāḥ drives away Krishna-kathāḥ. If the mind is thinking of all rubbish, then it's not thinking of Krishna, but it's not void. It's not simply sitting there not thinking of Krishna. It's thinking of Maya in so many ways. The tongue is not idle, that is to say, inactive. It's vibrating, but it's vibrating about sports, about politics, about local gossip, about this, about that, about the news. And the ear is hearing all these things. And so the heart becomes polluted. Then Krishna consciousness becomes harder, because the bad money has driven away good money. In the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the Kumaras say that thoughts of sense gratification are like reeds growing on the side of a pond. They don't just grow on the side. They suck up the water that's in the pond, and that's how they grow. So the thoughts of sense gratification suck up the energy of the mind. And then where is the focus for Krishna consciousness, the intelligence for Krishna consciousness, the taste for Krishna consciousness? It's lost. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advised, Gramya Katha na shunibe. Don't hear Gramya Katha. Gramya Katha means village talk. Village talk means politics, social gossip. Social gossip has become institutionalized now as social media. Gramya Katha book. Gramya twit. There's so many enterprises that want to get your advertising money or get someone else's basically they want to sell you to advertisers by engaging you in gṛṇīte. And it's a very good business. They don't have to produce their own gṛṇīte, they can engage you to produce it and share it with others. So the gṛṇīte, whether on the internet or in one-on-one meetings or in conventions or conferences, not only won't help us, but it harms us. To hear the useless talks of dharma, artha, kama, and moksha will not help us. And what to speak of the degraded, not even to the level of dharmic talk, which is the standard of Kali Yuga. Nasty topics. Topics of nasty men performing nasty activities. The politicians, the movie stars, the businessmen. So the gṛṇīte should be avoided, and positively, one should hear about Krishna. One should be so busy in Krishna Katha that there's no space for anything else. That's the ideal. I was just hearing advice given to one friend that if you want to really taste transcendental enjoyment, take your television set, bring it up to the second floor, and throw it over the balcony. That's transcendental sound, the sign when it hits the sidewalk. Yes. So the Śṛṇoti Rishi says it's the tongue vibrating those topics is just like the snake tongue, frog tongue, and the ears hearing those topics are just like snake holes. But on the other side, the ear is very valuable because it can accommodate however much Krishna Katha you want to put into it. The stomach you can only put so much into. But the ear can accept unlimited quantities of Krishna Katha. So the real ear is the ear that hears about Krishna. The real tongue is the tongue that glorifies Krishna. And the real hands are the hands that serve Krishna. Also in the second canto it's said that the hands that don't engage in the service of the Lord are like the hands of a dead man or a dead woman. The hands are, the arms are all decorated with bangles, but the hands are not engaged in Krishna Katha, so it's a beautiful dead hand decorated with bangles. Because it's not engaged in Krishna's service. The real hands are the hands engaged in Krishna's service. And similarly the mind, the true mind, manaḥ, smared, vasantam, sthira-jaṅgameṣu. It's the mind that remembers that Krishna is within everything and everything is within Krishna. Whether moving or non-moving, everything is a manifestation of Krishna's energy. And so Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, whatever he sees, he thinks of Krishna. Even if he sees Maya, he remembers Krishna's instruction. This is Maya. There's plenty to remind us of Krishna in that way. The world is full of rubbish, nonsense, or call it demonstrations of Krishna's words. In the Bhagavad Gita, the 16th chapter is there, divine and demonic natures. And the demonic nature is very prominently on display in New York, Bombay, so many, all over the world. So when the devotee sees these demonic activities, he remembers Krishna. Yes, Krishna said, Namam duskritina mudha prapadyante naradhama. What is prabhavanti ugra karmanaḥ kshayaya jagato hita. The devotee remembers Krishna's instructions. Seeing the lusty activities of this world, kamesha, krodesha, rajaguna, samudbhava. And so many instructions. Of course, it's not that the devotee will go on watching the lusty activities as an impetus for remembering Krishna. That's not recommended. But naturally, in the course of living, one will see so many things. And the Krishna conscious person who simply remembers Krishna. And that's by seeing Maya. What to speak of seeing the deity of the Lord, seeing the devotees, seeing the paintings illustrating the pastimes of the Lord, seeing the Radha. Please turn off your mobiles if you would be so kind. Just silence them. Seeing the Ratha Yatra festival, seeing the Kirtan party. That's nectar for the eyes. That's nectar for the eyes. And the devotee can go on and on remembering Krishna. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he simply took a little Mahaprasadam and he went into ecstasy. This prasadam has been tasted by Krishna. This prasadam is mixed with the saliva of Krishna. The same Krishna who's playing on his flute and attracting the gopis. The same Krishna who, when he plays his flute, stuns all the residents of Vrindavan, the moving, the non-moving. Lord Chaitanya went into ecstasy just by taking a little prasadam, because it acted as an impetus for Krishna consciousness. So the devotee is advised to mold his life in such a way that there'll be so many things impelling his Krishna consciousness. He'll see the tulsi plant, he'll offer obeisances, he'll offer water and circumambulate, he'll see the deity either at the temple or at home. He'll hear something from Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita as it is. He'll render some service. He'll clean the temple, or he'll distribute books, or he'll cook something for Krishna, he'll offer something to Krishna. So the whole life can be arranged in such a way that everything is connected with Krishna. Everything is connected with Krishna, but we simply have to rediscover the connection. Brahmarpanam brahmahavir, brahmagno brahmanahutam, brahmaiva tena gantavyam, brahma karma samadhina. Sarva kalavidam brahma. Krishna is everything. And everything is non-different from Krishna. But now we've separated it out by our materialistic consciousness. This is mine, this is mine, this is theirs, this is mine, this is theirs but could be mine. Calculating how to enjoy this material energy. But the devotee is thinking that it's all Krishna's and it should be offered to Krishna. Brahmarpanam. In a sacrifice, the offering is Brahma, the fire is Brahma, the butter is Brahma, the mantras are Brahma, everything is Brahma, the Absolute. And so the whole sacrifice is a spiritual activity. So for the devotee, Everything is offered to Krishna, and so his whole life is a life of sacrifice to Krishna. Sacrifice doesn't mean just giving up, I sacrifice this, but it means dedicating everything to the service of the Lord. Everything should be done. That's described in the 4th canto. There are different kinds of sacrifice, 4th chapter, Bhagavad Gita. Different kinds of sacrifice, sacrifice in knowledge, sacrifice of possessions, sacrifice in yoga, different kinds of yajna. Well, under the direction of a bona fide spiritual master, one should understand how to perform yajna. Nayam lokostra yajnasya kutonya kuru sattama. Without yajna, no one will be happy in this life, and no one will be happy in the next life. Simply, let me enjoy, will not make anyone happy. Yagyartat karmanon yatra loko yam karma bandhana. We should do everything for the sake of yajna, or for the sake of the service of Krishna. Otherwise, we'll just be entangled. So the Sankirtan movement offers us the opportunity to engage our full energy in yajna, in Sankirtan, in glorifying Krishna and hearing the glories of Krishna, by direct hearing and chanting, by reading about Krishna, by speaking about Krishna, by distributing books, glorifying Krishna, and in so many activities for spreading the Sankirtan movement. It's not only a grand institutional effort, but finally it comes down to every one of our senses. The eyes should be engaged for Krishna's service, the ears should be engaged for Krishna's service, tongue should be engaged for Krishna's service, hands, legs, mind, everything. That will lead to the perfection of life. Yagyaya sankirtana prior yajantihi sumedasa. Okay, are there some questions? All the way in the back there's a question. That's I can't see all the way in the back anymore.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
My ear's better than my eyes. It is śṛṇoti. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Please accept my obeisances. You've had a very, very long time association with Srila Prabhupada, and we are all hungry to hear about this wonderful association you had. What were the principal things you now remember or recall were the best moments you ever had with Srila Prabhupada?
The main association was by service. We think personal association and some experience with Prabhupada. But if I tally it up, maybe I had a few days of association. You could count it in tens of hours or something like that. Probably less than 100 hours of personal association. So the real association wasn't by physical contact. It was, but equally or more so by service. One time in America back in Prabhupada's time, the Ratha Yatra was the Los Angeles Ratha Yatra. San Francisco Ratha Yatra. I think it was the only one, in fact, until later the New York Ratha Yatra was introduced. In any case, it was the big Ratha Yatra. And we had our forerunner of the BBT, ISKCON Press, which was located in Boston at that time. And the press manager had an idea, because Prabhupada personally would attend the San Francisco Ratha Yatra. And it was a glorious event. It was summer in San Francisco, and devotees would come from all over. So he had the idea that the press workers could jump in a van, drive across the country, reach Los Angeles in 2 or 3 days by driving non-stop, San Francisco, attend the Ratha Yatra in Prabhupada's association, jump back in the van and head back and go back to work. And Prabhupada heard about it. He said, what did they want to do that for? He said they should do their service. They should do their service. He counted that as more important, not that if they really understand the essence of everything, they should just drop whatever they're doing, because lavamatra sadhu sange, even one moment's association with a pure devotee is worth so much. So they should drop everything and come. No, they should stay home and do their work, do their service, producing books. So that was the main thing. That Prabhupada had so many disciples, and some of them, of course, got more personal association, some got less. But the most important association was available to everyone by taking Srila Prabhupada's instructions seriously and serving. It wasn't, Prabhupada said that Krishna consciousness is not just sentiment, but it's practical activity in the service of the Lord. By sentiment we think, we could be with Prabhupada. But Srila Prabhupada was thinking practical service. They should stay and do this essential work. But you want a story, so let me think if I have one for you. Well, yeah, this is maybe one of my favorite stories. Giriraj Maharaj has so many that if you ask him, every time it's a different story. He has so many memories of Prabhupada. I'm not as richly endowed. So I'll tell you a story I've told before. That we were in Mayapur one time, and I was brahmachari at that time, and the morning walks with Srila Prabhupada were very competitive. All the big men would go, GBC men, sannyasis, and some others who might sometimes crowd their way in or somehow get in there, some temple presidents, or all these, actually it was all the big men and Vishaka Dasi. Vishaka Dasi was is one of our best photographers. So all these big men would go on Prabhupada's walk, and Vishaka Dasi. And she would take so many pictures. We have so many wonderful Prabhupada pictures taken by Vishaka. Anyway, so all these big men are on the walk, and I sometimes also went. So Mayapur, Prabhupada's walking, and I asked a question. I said, Srila Prabhupada, sometimes we see from the material point of view that the spiritual master makes mistakes. And the implication is, what should we think about? Prabhupada said, that is material point of view. Then I said, well, Srila Prabhupada, sometimes we see that even in spiritual things, the spiritual master seems to make mistakes. He doesn't remember a verse, or he quotes a verse in a different way. So that was quite pushing things, because we'd all heard Prabhupada forget verses or not, or quote it in a little different way. But again, Prabhupada said, this is material point of view. Prabhupada said the spiritual master is not a magician. He said, we have to see how the spiritual master is engaged in Krishna's service. That's the criterion of perfection, not our external calculation of what perfection is. How the spiritual master is engaged, always engaged in Krishna's service, spreading Krishna consciousness. So in that way, Prabhupada answered my question. And after the walk, my big godbrothers all jumped on me. That was so offensive. How could you speak with Prabhupada that way? How could you ask that question? They just jumped all over me for being a first-rate offender. So then Prabhupada gave Bhagavatam class, and after the class I went up to his room in the Lotus building, and I offered my obeisances. Srila Prabhupada, about that question this morning, Prabhupada said, "What is that?" I recapped the question. Prabhupada, was that question offensive? Prabhupada said, "Not offensive, just ignorant." Okay, another question. Just be loud. Okay, the microphone is fast.
Pure devotees don't desire for the four types of muktis, that is samvipya, salokya, sarupya and sanidhya. So then why we say that we want to go back to home, back to Godhead, like we as devotees?
Why do we, if the pure devotee doesn't desire any of these forms of mukti, salokya, samipya, sarshti, then why do we say we want to go back to Godhead? Prabhupada sometimes was asked that. Someone said, shouldn't we follow in the footsteps of Prahlad Maharaj? Prabhupada said, we're not Prahlad Maharaj, we want to go. We want to. Right now, we're in the disease condition, we want to stay. We want to stay in this material world and enjoy. Even in the most rubbish condition, in the most rubbish situation, still we think there must be a little enjoyment here. Prabhupada tells some story about some man who was like dangling from a well or something, and bees are biting him, and it's everything. But there's tigers above and snakes below, but there's a little honey dropping, and he's wants to get that taste of honey. So we're thinking that we can enjoy this material world, and that's our mad intention, to stay here with friends and family members and internet connection and enjoy. So we need to cultivate the desire to go back to Godhead. Krishna is encouraging us. Yad gatva nanivartante tad dhama paramam mama na tad pasyate suryo na shashanka. Why is he describing this spiritual world? He wants us to come. He's encouraging. Come. So first we need to develop that interest. Then become a pure devotee. Pure devotees, they may desire to go back to Godhead also, but their desire is to serve. In the beginning we're attracted. Kho Kalpabriksha laksha abritesu. Oh, I can get anything I want from the kalpabriksha trees. I can get unlimited milk from the cows. This is good, I want to go. All right, any reason you want to go. But the real reason to go, Goloka Vrindavan is not a place where everyone goes and gets rewarded by enjoyment. There's a materialistic conception of heaven. You perform pious activities, and then you get your heavenly rewards. And your heavenly rewards are all kinds of sense gratification. That's a very poor conception. The real conception, the highest reward is service. The Lord Krishna told the gopis, I can't repay you. You'll have to be satisfied with your service. I can't give you anything else. Your service is so exalted, you'll just have to be satisfied with the service. But that's not a small thing. Oh well, we have to be satisfied with the service, all right. It's the highest payment. You have the opportunity to serve. So the pure devotees, they want to go, but it's not a materialistic calculation or materialistic desire. If I go, then I can enjoy this, I can enjoy this, I can enjoy this. Or even I can look like Krishna, I can play with. It's all service. I could assist Krishna this way, I could assist Krishna that way. There's no material desire there. But that's a long distance from our position, where we're still desiring to enjoy this material world. So Prabhupada said, we're not Prahlad Maharaj, we want to go. Is that okay?
Hare Krishna. Maharaj, Dhanwad. Maharaj, in your lecture you mentioned that the demoniac activities, there's so much propaganda of the demoniac activities, and we as devotees, we are coming in association of devotees and sharpening our intelligence and differentiating the demoniac activities and the devotional activities. However, in this journey, when we are trying to nurture and get our children up to speed, and they have their friends who are not devotees, and as parents we continuously try and struggle of how do we get the balance. And
well, you're not talking to a person who's going to give you a happy message. You'd like to hear from me how you can send your sons and daughters to the school and how they can learn all the things that they're taught at school, and they can associate with all the little classmates, little or not so little, and they can learn, get a good qualification, good degrees, and they can be very successful in their life and be Krishna conscious. You want me to tell you how to accomplish all that, and I'm not going to do that. Someone else maybe could enlighten you on that point. From what I've seen in Prabhupada's instructions, the mundane schools are slaughterhouses. The association is the association of cats and dogs. The education is intoxication, gambling, meat eating, and especially illicit sex. So, and the success is that you get a certificate that this person is quite fit to serve, which means he's a qualified Shudra. So what kind of education is that? It's education in name, but it's not actually education. It's just being taught how to work and suffer, how to be engaged in the production and distribution of useless commodities, needless necessities, how to earn a living at the expense of others, and how to waste so much of one's valuable human life. Simply, where's money, where's money, where's money, where's money? So if one has the human form of life, durlabha manava janma, tadapi adruvam artadam. Prahlad Maharaj told his class friends that you're wasting your time in this school. After so many births, you've taken birth as a human being. That birth is very rarely achieved out of so many thousands of species. You've got the human birth, and it's brief. It'll come and go just like that, but it can give the greatest benefit, artadam. So that life should be focused on getting that benefit. Narad Muni says one should try for that benefit which one can't get, even by traveling all over the three worlds. That's the purpose of Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada's interest in education was not how we could have nice little schools teaching the government syllabus and have some, a few Bhagavad Gita verses sprinkled in the morning and some Govinda prayers. That wasn't Prabhupada's interest at all. He was encouraged by the life members in Bombay at Juhu to establish such a school, and he refused. He wasn't interested. He wasn't interested in all. Brahmacharya Gurukule Vasandanta Gurorhitam. That was Prabhupada's interest. That the boys especially should be sent to the Gurukul, and they should learn how to be humble servants of the spiritual master, how to control their mind and senses, which is just the opposite of the official curriculum. How to control the mind and senses, how to become Krishna conscious. That's what Prabhupada wanted. Talking about Gurukul, one time Prabhupada said what the success would be. He said the students will be unfit for any employment. They won't be good Shudras. If you're looking for a Shudra to employ, don't come to the Gurukul, because these boys are not being trained for that. They're being trained for spiritual realization and going back to Godhead. And the girls are better trained at home. How to be chaste, how to be Krishna conscious, how to become good wives, good mothers, not corporate executives and dolls of the material energy. So it may not be the most popular message, but that's what I understood from Prabhupada. And he told that he would approach so many men, big men, and say, you have 3 sons, 5 sons, why don't you give one? I'll train him in Krishna consciousness. No, Swamiji, how will he make a living? They refused. How will he make a living? The ant is getting his food, the dog is getting his food, the pig is getting a food, and a place to live, and a family life. But the human being has to spend his full energy for the same thing that the dog and the ant and the hog are getting automatically. That's misuse of human energy. And Prabhupada explained that in that context. And of course we would always laugh. But now we see that the Krishna conscious fathers and mothers have the same attitude. That why should I send my child to the Gurukul? How will he earn money? How will he earn a living? How will he support his family? The world has millions of doctors, tons of engineers, too many lawyers, lots of financial executives, salesmen galore, technicians and soldiers and all the rest of it. But where are the Krishna conscious people? The real need of the world is not more lawyers, more businessmen, more technicians, more doctors, more engineers. There's plenty of them. But where's that person by whose association one can become enlightened and freed from material energy? That's the person that we need. Prabhupada is told very practically that in the body there are so many parts, the legs, the arms, the belly, but the most important part is the head. And the present social body is headless. It has arms in the form of administrators after a fashion. It has some sort of belly, although the belly is thinking that we'll support the body on nuts and bolts and computer chips. But anyway, it has an economic development section. We can retool genes and make food. And sudras are overabundant. So there's legs, there's a belly, there's something like arms, but there's no head. Where are the people with spiritual purity and spiritual knowledge, spiritual detachment, to give vision to the society? A body that's only arms and legs and feet and has no head to give clear vision is a zombie. It's a walking dead body. And that's your modern society. And we send our young children, we send boys and girls to school to learn how to become part of that, to fit that model. And how they become ruined. I was talking to some boys somewhere, I forget where, some years ago here in India. They were from, remind me, city on the west coast, which is a big student city. Manipal, thank you. They were from Manipal. And I was talking about how bad things were in America, how degraded the American universities are, and how the boys and girls are mixing just like cats and dogs. And I was going on about how America was. He said, we have all of that here. We have all of that here. So what is that? That means animal life. And we've seen, Radha was just telling me he was at the park up above here, and they're all sophisticated young or old Bombay people. And the young boys and girls are mixing like American boys and girls, which means like animals. They're all educated. That's their education. So, there's my happy little message.
So,
Prabhupada wanted to do something very different. He wanted to create a revolution. Yes.
After 5 decades of attempted gurukuls, we see often students who came out who were somewhat dysfunctional, both materially and spiritually, and to that also sometimes quite upset with themselves. What can we do to improve this? Also in regards to, usually Brahmin, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas go to Gurukul, but later on they go into their trades or into their occupational fields, whereas sometimes the little romantic notion is that they should all become Brahmins which may just not do justice to their psychophysical nature. So where does that vocational training come in after Gurukul? Because I haven't seen it in all the schools that we actually have. That emphasis is there. At one point you say, okay, you may not make it as a teacher, as a Brahmin, so why don't you now shift and go into this trade? That's kind of not accepted.
Of course, I'm not the world's Gurukula expert, but to give a little bit. First of all, that Gurukul has not been done right doesn't mean we just abandon it. You know, well, we didn't do it right, we might as well just give up and do the cat and dog thing because it works well. You know, we failed at producing first-class human beings, so we should just go along with the flow and produce fifth-class cats and dogs. No, we should get it right. That's the first thing. May get it wrong once, may get it wrong twice, but not that we just say, well, okay, we give up, let's go for the cats and dogs. Now, within the Krishna Consciousness movement, there's scope for everything. We don't have a overabundance of good managers, for example. It's not that every temple has a first-class Kshatriya gold standard temple president. There's lots of space. Lots of space. In the economic development portion, ISKCON could use unlimited money. Not that we've said, well, ISKCON has enough money. We'll just work with what we have. We need hundreds of millions of times more than we have because we have an unlimited mission. As soon as we finish one thing, we have something more to do. So, for economic development, if someone is interested in raising funds, there's scope. On the more modest level, just to show people how to live like ordinary human beings. What's real economic development? It's not producing more cars and selling them. I was in a little island in the Caribbean in 1978, the year I took sannyasa. I went to the Caribbean. Trinidad and Tobago, little island in the Caribbean. And it had a beautiful island, all sugarcane and very beautiful weather, and cars. Mitsubishis and what have you. And there were so many cars that there was no roads for them, just cars. And if you got things together and made enough roads for all the cars, then there's no island. No fields, no nothing, just lots of concrete so that you can drive your car. I know in Dubai, which is a different kind of place, they produce so many cars every year. They sell so many cars every year, and it's just a little, small country. And it's already overcrowded with cars. But we have to sell more cars. That's called economic progress. So real economic progress, or real economic assets, are land, cows, and grains. That's your real asset. Even now, if you want to invest in something in Bombay, invest in land. Whatever land you get today is going to be worth how much more tomorrow? And that's just speculative Bombay land. But the real land is land where you can live and you can grow your own food. Because the real economic necessity is a place to live, food to eat, water to drink, and then things like cloth, which also grows. I mean, unless you really have to have polyester. Cotton grows. So the basic necessities are provided by Krishna. Krishna's made the arrangement. You put a seed in the land, you put water on the seed, and it grows and gives you food. What can your scientists do compared to that? Now, this is Krishna's arrangement, but we're spoiling Krishna's arrangement. We make a mess of the land, we poison it, we stomp on it with machines, then we re-engineer the food so that you can have shellfish in your tomatoes, and so that it can taste like nothing and look great on the shelf, and it can travel 3,000 miles and still be good 6 months later. We commodify the foods so you can't get real food. We destroy the water in so many ways. And then we flock to live in a place where this much of space costs that much money, and you've got to work like an ass just to keep an apartment. And the biggest expense, what's the biggest expense that people have to pay, a family has to pay for? I don't know here in Bombay, I know what it is in America. Expense number one for a household? No, not rent. Transportation. In America, the number one expense for living is not rent, not food, it's transportation, which mainly consists of the cost of going to work and coming back again. You got to have a car, you have to repair the car, you have to put lots and lots of expensive petrol in your car, you've got to park the car, you've got to insure the car, you've got to pay fines on the car, you've got to pay parking, pay for parking. And if it's not cars, it's trains. If it's not trains, it's buses. If it's not buses, it's people flying to work every day. And it's not one car, it's 2 cars or 3 because everybody's working. So the biggest expense becomes transportation. The cost of going to work and coming back is your biggest expense. Then we come to rent, which is sky high because you're living in Bombay or New York or Calcutta or Delhi or Houston or what have you. Then someplace down the list is food. And when you get a vacation, you go to some place which has clear water and beautiful trees, and that's where everybody's supposed to be living. But in Kali Yuga, we live in the middle of factories and concrete and things that block out the sun. And for vacation, you go to the place where you should be living. So Prabhupada wanted real economic development. You live on the land that Krishna has given, and you drive outside of any American city, and the city's all grotesquely packed with concrete and steel and auto exhaust and people in every direction and traffic jams. And you drive out 20 minutes and you're in the countryside. Doesn't matter whether it's New York, Philadelphia, any big city, half an hour out and you're in the countryside, which is abandoned, or which is owned, hundreds and thousands of acres by, one company. But that's where the wealth is. Not because you can own land and then produce lots of food and sell it to a big chain. No, so you can live there and you solve your food problem. You have a cow, you have some land, and you've got food. Well, now what do we do? What do we do with all the rest of the time that we have? We chant Hare Krishna. Because now you can live peacefully. Now your economic problems are solved. Now you're, by the way, among the cutting edge of those who are in ecology and forward thinking about what the earth really needs. I mean, this is like cutting edge vision. What's cutting edge vision? Live on the land and grow food. Which is what everybody's grandparents were doing or great-grandparents were doing. You just live on the land and grow your own food. Even if you had a business, you were still growing your own food. Now that's like a radical vision. So cutting edge. But it's common sense. So for economic development, that should be learned. Not how you become such a smart guy that you get piles of money, which is money by declaration because somebody's printed it. That's not real wealth. Real wealth is land, cows, food, peace. How much would you pay for peace? The nations are fighting over scarce resources that are not important. How important is petrol? Vastly important for an artificial way of life. You can use it for transportation, you can make plates of it, you can make clothing of it. You know, you can live surrounded by petrol products and produce more and more of them and then fight over them. That's a good thing to do. You know, instead of sending your kid to the Gurukul, you can send him to the army and he can fight over scarce resources. Or he can be an officer and figure out how to send other people's sons and daughters now, because they should have an equal opportunity to die for scarce resources. They should learn this. What is real economic development? What is real administration? What is real spiritual knowledge? What is real teaching? And even if they're simple, you know, they want to just be, if they're not qualified for more than doing simple work, do simple work in Krishna consciousness and be happy. Not this artificial way of life.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. As the principle of yat gatva na nivartante, anyone who returns to the spiritual world never comes back to the material world. And in the spiritual world, there is always ever increasing bliss in the service of the Lord. There is no illusion, no duality, and no ichha dvesh dvanda moha. There is no envy, illusion, and duality. So then still, why would someone from who is already there, why would he come down here?
For an iPad. Sankalpa prabhavan kamans. In the Bhagavad Gita, it's said that these desires come from concoction. There's no reason to approach this material world, but Prabhupada called it causeless unwillingness to serve Krishna. Let me be the enjoyer. Why should Krishna be the enjoyer? This is the mentality. No one can trace where this begins, at what time, in what location. But since time immemorial, we've had this mentality of aversion to Krishna's service. That's the cause of our material existence. Is that okay? Okay. Ooh, we're quite late, aren't we? I think we can stop here. Is that all right? Thank you. Hare Krishna.